Okay, hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video is going to be about the Mind Scan and the Dark-Eyed Illusionist. At first I was like, okay, Mind Scan is really crazy because you can just add the Dark-Eyed Illusionist, Faceless Mage, with either Apprentice, Nightmare Apprentice, or with the Gazelle when you use it for a fusion summon. And then I was like, okay, add the Dark-Eyed Illusionist, activate the Mind Scan. And I was like, okay, I have a Toon card in my graveyard, and then I can see the cards in my hand. But the problem is that Faceless Mage isn't a Toon card, which is a very big problem. Because during my 5 or 6 games while I was testing this, I didn't notice that. So that's why I added the Toon Summons Call. Why did I add the Toon Summons Call specifically and not other Toon cards? Because Toon Summons Call is a Fiend monster and it's a Archfiend. You can see that it's always treated as a Archfiend card. So I can add it with Archfiend Heiress in any situation, I guess. But also, yeah, I can just send it with Aerial Ether, and then the Mind Scan can work. First I'm going to show you the games where I did successfully place the Mind Scan plus Toon Summons Call. Then later on I'm gonna show you without the Toon Summons Call, and in that case you won't get to see your opponent's hand. And in this game I did successfully do the Mind Scan play. So yeah, first go with the Kotal. My hand isn't that great, you can see Usurpation, and outside of that, that isn't that great. So I was forced to use the Gazelle to add the Baphomet and go Channeling 1, Channeling 2, Channeling 3. Yep, the Gazelle adds the Nightmare Apprentice, and here I sent the Toon Summons Call because I already have the Usurpation. And here I use the Illusionist Mage, and you can see that now I have the Mind Scan and I can see my opponent's hand, and it's very bad. And I was like, okay, let me just set up at least one barrier to stop the Bone Archfiend, and one more barrier or Caesar or Espirital Knight, just so that if my opponent top decks something really good, then I can just negate that, or banish it with Espirital Knight, or negate that with the Caesar. So here I go for a Bauq, then Engraver. Yeah, Duke and Engraver, go for Caesar, use the launcher now, put back Archfiend and Necromancer. Yep, Archfiend effect, grab another Archfiend because I want to discard it with a Bauq. Yep, Archfiend effect to grab the barrier, and here I have one barrier. Yeah, use the Reaper, Necromancer, bring back the Archfiend again. Yep, Archfiend, grab the break, and here go for the Espirital Knight, and I have barrier plus break. Actually, yeah, I actually discarded the break earlier in the combo, and yeah, here you can see that since I know all of my opponent's hand, I can just negate the Bone Archfiend and I don't have to worry about it, because yeah, my opponent's hand was really bad. Wow. Then yeah, just easy OTK. In this game I also successfully played the Mind Scan plus the Toon Summons Call, but my hand wasn't that great. You can see that I have double Necromancer and Baphomet, so I was forced to just normal summon the Baphomet, and I'm also locked into fusions, so that's also a big problem. So I here go for the Chimera and use the Summons Call and the Gazelle. So you can see that it's not really that bad when you draw a Toon Summons Call, it's just that it really does nothing. But yeah, here you can see Mind Scan, show my opponent's hand, and when I saw Droplet and Infernity plus the Imagination, I was like, okay, let me just set up at least one barrier. The problem is that I cannot get rid of my monsters that easily because I'm locked into fusions only. So here I just add a barrier, and yeah, just barrier, that's it. And look at what my opponent top deck. Like, what? How do you do that? And yeah, here they use the Evenly. I keep the Mutiny in the sky because Mutiny is really good. Here I top deck the Polymerization, which is really bad. Here I summon the Lucy. Lucy try to, yeah. So they use the Droplet, negate, and I attack for 1750. Maybe this was a misplay because I sent the Lucy to the graveyard. Maybe I should have kept it because my opponent really didn't have any other place. You can see they have Feast without any Void spell and traps. And here I draw the launcher without any of the Infernities because they're all banished face down. Yeah. I draw Engraver, which is, yeah, dead. They top deck the Vanishment, and yeah, I just immediately scoop. And in this game, I think that I also successfully did the mind scan, but you can see that my hand is really bad. And I'm like, okay, let me use the playtime to summon the Archfiend. Yep. Add the Necromancer, use the Poly to go for the Aerial Eater. Aerial Eater, send the Toon Summon Skull, and here you can see that now I can see my opponent's hand. And here I use the Usurpation, playtime. And here I tried to use the Archfiend, but of course my opponent has the call by for the second Archfiend. This Archfiend would have added a, what's its name, any Infernity, basically Necromancer or Archfiend, just to have a discard for Super Poly. But yeah, my opponent of course had the call by, and yeah, they used the DP, popped the field spell. Yep, summon the Dreadmaster, bring back 2. By the way, I also tested with these new hero cards, and they are very interesting. But the new level 3, the Doom Leech, actually has a lock, so I didn't really test with him. I did test with the new, what's his name, the level 3, the Servant one, which can pop a Clock Tower Prison, Dark City, and add a Poly. Then this Dark City, the new field spell, can special summon the Mali, and you have 2 bodies basically from the field spell. Yeah, really good. And I think that in these duels I didn't have the Toon Summon Skulls. I was basically playing the Mind Scan without an effect, which is crazy. Here my opponent draws me, which is really bad. I used the Sword Knight. They banished the Sword Knight with the Baldrake, which is actually really good play. But the problem is now that I get to Gazelle and the Chimera Fusion, which is great for my follow-up. And they use the Grand Tusk Dragon, and they were very close to OTK me. You can see that I was 100 away from getting OTK'd, and yeah, now I can just easily just beat them, because here they try to use the Veiler. I can just chain the Chimera Fusion to dodge the Veiler. Yep, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 3, Chainlink 4, Chainlink 5, Chimera Fusion, so they don't banish my Baphomet Fusion. They use the Seals, I use the Ares, add the Usurpation, yep, the Magnemite, use the Chimera Fusion, yep, use the Chimera Fusion again, go for the Aerial Eater, yep, use the Baphomet, bring back the Nightmare Apprentice, Buyo then, add the Mutiny. I'm only playing Buyo as a one-off because you can just send it with Aerial Eater or the Baphomet Fusion once, and then you have the Mutiny for the rest of the game. And yeah, just playtime, summon the Archfiend, grab the launcher. I think that I already have the what's his name, the Necromancer. And I also sent the second Necromancer, yeah. Yep, use the launcher, bring back the 2 Necromancers. Necromancer 1, use the Archfiend, grab the Reaper. Now make Reaper Docus a light fiend, so I can just go into the Requiem, then summon the Lacrima effects and Engraver. I'm also playing Engraver and Lacrima as a one-offs, because yeah, you don't really need them more, because they'll clog you so much. You always want to see either the Gazelle or the Chimera Fusion, or a way to Gazelle then to add the Chimera Fusion. And that's why I'm running the OG Polymerization, because the best way to start your combo is just to fusion summon. It's not to get to Engraver or Tract or something. No, you don't need that. You just need a Polymerization, and that's more than enough. Yeah, in this game, yeah, my hand was really bad. I go for normal summon the Ares, set the playtime, and the only play I have is just summon the Archfiend. Grab the Reaper. Yep, go for Ripidocus. Use the Reaper, bring back the Archfiend. Yep, Ripidocus. Make Archfiend Light Fiend. They ash the Requiem, which is okay, I guess. Try to use the Mutiny. They use the Druid Worm, banish the Requiem, which forces me to shuffle back the Infernity Archfiend. But that's not that big of a problem, because I can just add the Usurpation with Terrace, and I already have the barrier. So here they go for the battle phase, attack over the Ripodocus. I use the Usurpation to set the playtime. Yep, playtime, summon the second Archfiend. Use the Infernity Archfiend, grab the second Necromancer. Yeah, second Necromancer. I do draw into Masquerade, which is okay. They use the Branded Beast to pop the Aerial Eater, which is kind of fine. Yeah, go for the Baphomet. Baphomet sends the... Was that the third Archfiend? Or no, second Archfiend. Go for Mutiny. Now Lucy. Pop the Branded Beast. Send Ares. Yep, add the Usurpation again with Ares. This was like... What was this? Like the third Usurpation? Yeah, third Usurpation. Yeah, it's really crazy how much has Usurpation changed in Infernity. Because now you have... Unless your Ares gets banished, you can always shuffle it back to the deck, then send it again, then add the Usurpation. I should definitely find a way to... to add back the Usurpation to my hand, because if I do find a way for that, yeah, that would have been insane. And yeah, my opponent just... yeah, lost. Yeah, easy OTK. And I think that this was my first game, and yeah, here I just summon the Lacrima, go for the Requiem, now use the Chimera Fusion to fusion summon the Duke of Demise, just so that I can add the Mutiny. Mutiny is going to shuffle the Lacrima and the Requiem, go for Aerial Eater, send the Ares adds Usurpation, set the playtime with Usurpation, then summon the Infernity Archfiend, use the Archfiend, grab the Necromancer. Now it's just super freaking easy, and that's why I don't really think that the Mind Scan is actually worth it, because you're basically adding 3 bricks to your deck. I mean, considering that you actually get what your opponent has in their hand, that's very valuable, but it's not really that worth it, I'm telling you, because it's going to brick you most of the times. And also, if you just, play the standard Infernity Chimera build, you can just make multiple negates and you don't really care what your opponent has in their hand. You can see that in this case I have a Valkyrie, I have Imperm, Super Poly, Mutiny as follow-up, and double up barrier. And yeah, my opponent just passes. They tried to use the barrel, but nope. They use the drill beam to banish the Valkyrie. That's completely fine. And here I use the Mutiny, summon the Lucy, pop the Majesty, yep, use the Ares, set the playtime, use the fusion, go for Garura, yep, use the playtime now, summon the Infernity Archfiend, add the second Necromancer, and yeah, my opponent just scooped, because I would have normal summon the Necromancer, bring back the Archfiend, and yeah, so you can see that you don't really need Mind Scan, but it's a good option, So yeah, here's the deck list again. So as I stated, Mind Scan is really broken, but it does need a little bit of a setup, and especially because in this deck you only have one Toon card, and you have to send it with either Aerial Eater or Chimera, or the Baphomet Fusion. So you have 2 ways to send the Toon Summons Call, and sometimes, I mean most of the time actually, you actually don't want to send something that's bricky. You actually want to send either the Buyo or the Ares or the Masquerader, because Masquerader is broken, because Masquerader is a grind game card basically every single turn, because you can always add the Baphomet, the main deck Baphomet with the Gazelle, and then you can use the Chimera Fusion or the Poly to go into any of the fusions, then trigger the Baphomet, right, to bring back the Masquerader, and the Masquerader can just send any Fiend, Illusion, or Spellcaster from the deck. Masquerader is so much more worth it than the Mind Scan, but I wanted to try it out. It seems kind of cool to see, you know, your opponent's hand, but yeah, it isn't that worth it. But yeah, that's it gonna be for this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon and goodbye.